Let's go.
Good morning. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the December 9th, 2021 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Shawnee County. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair this year, also representing District 2. Joining me this morning is Commissioner Bill Rippon, representing District 1. Good morning.
Morning.
Commissioner Aaron Mays, representing District 3. Good morning.
Morning.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
Our first item is item 3, consent agenda.
There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions or is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers totaling $921,683.24. I have several items I'd like to highlight on that. Under building and maintenance to the Huntington National Bank, $34,080 and $80.89 is for the Stormville Event Center exterior branding signage. Also under building and maintenance to Cine and Company for $38,850 is for construction to expand the communications center. Under district attorney to the Office of the Attorney General for $110,000 is for preparation of briefs and oral arguments for criminal appellate cases. Under detention facility to timekeeping systems for $51,304.21. Purchase of Guard 1 inmate tracking. Under equipment fund, it says Meriden Roofing Solutions for $70,134.15 is for roof replacement at the jail. Under IT to Optiv Security for $11,995.64 is for an annual license for supportive network switches. Under motor vehicles to Beverly K. Post for $48,591.96 is for the motor vehicle Annex rent for a year. And under Sheriff to Axon Enterprise for $40,140 is for 5-year unlimited evidence license and air evidence license. I don't have any questions about any of this. If you don't, I would move for approval.
Any questions? Second. Motion made by Commissioner Mays for approval, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Department of Corrections number 1, request authorization to prepare and submit requests for proposals for purchase of a whole body scanner in an appropriate amount or approximate amount of $150,000 to be paid with American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. As we were working with the Sparks Committee, Betty Greiner and her team and our security team at the Department of Corrections, we're basically looking at the needs that we have at the facility to help us enhance both our social distancing and reduction of the spread of the COVID virus coming in, and also to enhance our safety and security. And one of those things that we have looked at and after research is looking at the purchase and putting out for requests for proposals, the purchase of a whole body scanner. This is much like what you see in airplane or airports and things like that, where an inmate would come in. It's a non-intrusive type of scan that allows us to go from head to toe to get anything from drugs internally. We're not doing body cavity searches or anything like that at the Department of Corrections, but this will allow us to reduce the to identify and detect any type of contraband, reduce the introduction of contraband, also being able to enhance the safety, secure the facility, and the safety of the booking officers who will book people in. We book in probably about 10 to 12,000 people a year, and so you can imagine the number of people that we have to put hands on when it comes to pat down. We're trying to use to enhance our mission and our goals of safety and security. The approximate cost of this is about $150,000. This was presented to the Sparks Committee, and it was rated as one of the higher areas, and there was an approval of this, and now we're reaching out to you all to be able to go out for bids. And I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Questions for Brian?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B2, request authorization to prepare and submit requests for proposal for the purchase of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system for Annex Facility Project 2021-10 in the estimated amount of $850,000 with the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. As we continue to work through the challenge of the COVID pandemic, one of the things that we work very closely with the Health Department, KDHE, and looking at recommendations of the Centers of Disease Control was looking at the HVAC system. We do have an HVAC system that has been there for almost well over 10 years. It does not meet the standards that we would want for the proper air return when it comes to the Department of Corrections and housing in a conjugal setting, things like that. This would bring us up to speed on having an efficient system with being able to produce the correct and the appropriate amount of air return into the facility, meeting American Correctional Association and NCCHC standards. It helps us to meet the guidelines by the KDHE and CDC, and allows us to have a cleaner environment for staff and those that we put in there. This was a proposal that we did put in front of the Sparks Committee that was voted and approved on, one of the top priority lists, and we work closely with the Sparks Committee. And this is just a request to be able to put out for bids and specifications for this, and to come back and to later to look at a contract and move forward.
Questions for Brian? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for the replacement of the retaining wall and make the sidewalk ADA accessible at Ruger Park with an estimated project cost of $59,946 with funding available from the Building Maintenance 3R Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. This project before you, we've had on our capital improvement plan a couple times. We really need to do something with this retaining wall. It's leaning. It was put in, I believe, in 2001 to serve as an ADA access to all the fields on the different levels, and we just need to go out for bid to repair it. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, Commissioner Rippon?
Yeah, that wall was built with block. It was a block wall that you assembled. Are you going to reuse, just relay that wall and?
Yes, that's what I believe the plan is on that.
Okay, all right. I mean, our material's still there. It just
Right.
was leaning over. All right.
Yep.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second. Oh, go ahead. Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C460-2021 with Ferris Family Partnership for burial services at West Lawn Garden Cemetery with funding from the cemetery's enterprise fund, which does not utilize tax dollars.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Director, Parks and Recreation Department. As the clerk said, this is for burial services at the West Lawn Cemetery, and there are no tax dollars used to operate this facility. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for Tim?
No.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C461-2021, amendment to contract C118-2011 with Shawnee Yacht Club, Inc. to continue to utilize the facility and area at Lake Shawnee through December 31, 2022.
Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation. So this is an extension, a one-year extension of our current agreement with the Shawnee Yacht Club to use the yacht club facility and the area around it to store their yachts. Again, it's just a one-year extension. There are no changes from the agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
No.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C4, consider approval of request to accept the attached schedule of fees effective January 1, 2022 for use of parks and recreation facilities and participation in department-sponsored activities.
Good morning again, Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation. So annually, we bring up our schedule of fees for you to look at and approve. We also make these fees available at our administration office, and many of them are listed on our website. There were multiple changes, some fees going up, some going down. I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of those.
Tim, are there anything that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think one thing that we've done on here, and I don't think it's going to amount to a lot, but we did change. We tried to match the rates for people that want to come in and tour the Great Overland Station to what we charge at Old Prairie Town. We felt like that, trying to keep that consistent, would make things a little easier for staff and also a little more affordable for those folks wanting to go into the Great Overland Station. Our camping rates went up slightly at the campground, but by and large, there isn't anything on here that where you would see any sort of significant increase. So I don't think that probably the one area that we will probably get the most feedback on is we did slightly raise some of our golf rates, and we haven't done that for many years, and so we'll probably get a little feedback on that. But other than that, I think everything else is pretty close to what we were charging last year.
Questions?
Questions?
Okay. I might note that the pools for the Garfield, Hillcrest, and Oakland are still $2 for general admission. So can't be beat in the summer for that rate.
Correct.
I do have a question real quick.
Yes.
So Tim, on the Lake Shawnee campground,
Yeah.
the camping rates, it seems like a waterfront camping unit for an RV parking should be more than $4 higher than a tent site. I mean, is that kind of standard? I mean, it seems like tent sites ought to be substantially cheaper than a place with electrical and water hookups.
Well,
and
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think all of those, that's part of why we're wanting to do the renovation at the campground, because not all of those sites have utilities.
Okay.
So I think you will see this, once that campground renovation is complete, you will see a complete overhaul of these fees.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll move for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflected, it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C5, consider authorization and execution contract C462-2021, amendment to contract C134-2013 with the Greater Topeka Rowing Development Association to continue to utilize the facility and area at Lake Shawnee through December 31, 2022.
Good morning again, Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation. Much like our agreement earlier with the Yacht Club, this is a one-year extension with the Greater Topeka Rowing Development Association for use of the row house at Lake Shawnee. Just an extension, no change in any of the terms. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll move for approval.
Second. Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflected, it passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item D, Information Technology, number 1, request authorization to purchase an additional Nutanix virtualization platform node to increase the storage capacity of the county's existing Nutanix public safety visualization platform, and the purchase of Nutanix. Could you put that word in there on one frame subscription? The purchase of $185,865.70 would be funded using $35,865.70 from the 2021 IT budget and $150,000 from the 2021 capital outlay budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. Next time, Cindy, I'll see if I can get in there
I know
about 2 or
you
3
can.
more times. This is just an expansion of our existing Nutanix system. The first cluster we put in back in 2019. It's been very successful, and due to that, we're always increasing and expanding what we're putting on there. This specific node addition is to handle digital evidence. We're using a kind of antiquated way of doing it, and this would allow us to streamline it and give us some more redundancies and protections and storing that. And then the second part would be the frame, which will allow us to give some remote workers a more streamlined way of getting back into the county that we're wanting to try out, and think it would actually add a lot of productivity to people not working at the county when they have to go home for reasons.
Any questions for Mark? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Reflected, it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item D2, consider authorization and execution of contract C463-2021 with Enterprise Fleet Management for the lease of a 2022 Ford F-150, with the equity from the one truck being replaced used to offset the cost of leasing the new truck, funding to be paid through the information technology budget.
Good morning again, Mark Price, IT. This is the stream of let's get rid of one truck, get another truck. We'll be saving, I think, about $50 a month, so that's what we're asking.
Questions?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second, noting that it seems to be in every meeting conversation now, so get them while they're hot, folks. No.
Motion made by Commissioner Rippon to approve, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Reflected, it passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item E, Public Works. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C464-2021, agreement number 422-21 with Kansas Department of Transportation, specifying the terms, conditions, and financial responsibilities of each party for the bridge replacement project Northwest 66th Street over Indian Creek, with funding from the Shawnee County shared to come from 2017 through the 2032 countywide half-cent sales tax for bridges.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Neos, Director of Public Works. This agreement with KDOT, you've seen something on it before. We had to do a preliminary agreement for this. Shawnee County will be on the hook for 100% of everything except for construction engineering, and construction contingency. In the case of those three items, KDOT will pay for 80%. County pays 20%. All in all, we think we can get a bridge for approximately half the price of if it was 100% county funded. So I'm here before you asking you to approve this formal agreement with KDOT so we can move forward with this bridge replacement project. It's scheduled for a March 2023 letting, and it was already on our 5-year plan. So when we found out that KDOT had chosen the project for local projects, KDOT Local Projects had chosen the project for some funding, we were very elated. Questions?
Questions?
It's like a good deal.
Yeah, that's great. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Reflected, it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval of a revised budget, project budget of $530,354 for the repair of a failed longitudinal and transverse concrete pavement joints along East 6th Street between Southeast Croco Road and Highway K4 westbound off-ramp, with funding from the Department's Special Highway Fund and the 2021 operational budget.
Kurt Neos, Director of Public Works. This last spring, I was before you, and we talked about a proposed project where on East 6 between Croco Road and the Oakland Expressway interchange, we were going to remove the existing mainly longitudinal joints and some of the transverse joints, remove those and basically replace them in kind. It was a process where we could repair the degraded concrete. Also, if you recall, we had to reject a single bid on that project because the prices came in too high, and at that time we said we will come back at a later date and try again. Well, here I am. It's a later date and I'm trying again. The difference is, rather than just doing the westbound, we're going to do both the westbound and the eastbound. And we've been working on this for quite a while, and the cost to do the concrete repair is just too high. It was approaching $900,000. And I just cannot justify that kind of money for a maintenance project. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to mill the longitudinal joints. Rather than filling them with concrete, we're going to fill them with asphalt. And then we're going to come back, mill where we need to match in with existing, and we're going to cover it with 3 inches of asphalt. Striping will be by Shawnee County Maintenance Forces. Questions?
Kurt, when you do that, when cold weather comes along, isn't the asphalt more likely to fail and pop and create potholes?
It's amazing the questions you ask me. It's like you're reading my mind. What we're going to do is we're going to use what they call a spray paver. And we're going to put a layer of oil down. And what this does is this oil will help us seal that concrete surface so we don't get water between the asphalt overlay and the concrete surface. And then furthermore, to control cracking, we're going to saw and seal the joints in the asphalt to match the underlying concrete so we can control the cracking and minimize the amount of moisture getting into that concrete surface. We hope by doing all this we can get a substantial number of years out of this action.
Now that intersection, that on-ramp, that's in close proximity to Reesers and some other industrial where truck traffic is coming in and off the roadways. Is that going to have any impact with the big trucks using the ramps with this asphalt?
Minimal, because we're always going to have one lane open in each direction. Because we're moving from concrete to asphalt, obviously concrete requires a significant amount of time to cure and harden, especially in the case of these patches that we were going to propose. Now, we're putting down asphalt, so as long as that asphalt cools to the point where you can put traffic on it, people can come and go. And again, as far as the trucks at Reesers, they'll be able to come and go as they wish because there will always be a lane open for them.
Okay. Questions?
How long do you anticipate this project taking?
Oh, I'm guessing probably 45 to 60 days at the max. Yeah.
Were these existing joints, were these like saw cut, or were they a backer rod, or what their flowable fill? What did they use?
Yeah, they were one of 2 types. I can't really tell you. It was either with a backer rod and then some kind of a preformed elastomeric material, or it could have been a hot pour material. But what's happened with these joints is I talk about a joint, but it's really the area around the joint, the concrete, that's degraded. Or degraded, I should say. Water has gotten into the concrete, it's gotten into the aggregate, freeze thaw then destroys the concrete, and that's where we're at.
Boy, I'm glad that, Mr. Fyander from the city is here today to hear this. There's some seams in the city that could probably use the same process. Boy, am I glad he's here.
Shots fired.
All right. Any other questions?
Kurt, are we going to make sure that the seams line up with, or the joints line up with the lines on the road,
You bet.
please? Yeah.
What we do is we mark the ends of the existing joints in the concrete beyond the limits of the removal, and then they can come back and saw and seal. Now, what's kind of amazing is you don't have to be exactly right over the top of the joint. As long as you're within an inch or so, you're good.
Okay, great.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you, Kurt. Our next item.
Item F, Health Department, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-465-2021 with Enterprise Fleet Management for the lease of 2 vehicles for the Health Department, J.P. Lewis Building at a total annual cost of $13,911.84 to be paid from the departmental operating budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Director with the Health Department. Well, I could not let our department not get in line with the list for the new vehicles either. So this request is for 2 vehicles that our courier and our facilities or maintenance staff use. So they're vehicles that are used on a day in and day out basis. Both of these vehicles are 15 plus years old. They were not bought new. They were donated to us from other departments. And so it's time to update, have them driving more fuel efficient, more reliable, safe vehicles. We, I think 2 years ago, started leasing vehicles at that point. And so we've been really happy, and we feel like it's been a cost savings to us. And again, just having staff in those reliable vehicles that they're using on a day in and day out basis. And we did include this in our budget. Any questions?
Questions?
How many more vehicles do you have that are not part of a rental contract?
As of right now, we don't have any more in this next year scheduled. I think we might have 1 or 2 more in our environmental health that we haven't been able to swap out yet.
Okay.
So Teresa, it says that one of these is used for snow removal currently. Does it have like a blade on the front of it? And
It does have a blade on the front of it, and the hope is that we will be able to put that blade on the new truck.
okay, have you talked to Public Works about seeing if they might be able to help with that, or?
We have not discussed with them. We've discussed with our
I
enterprise.
saw Kurt nodding his head back there. I thought maybe he's in on this. So,
I think Brent's probably got the capability to help, or Public Works, anyone in the county can probably help with that.
okay, great.
We did discuss it with enterprise so that they would know what we were needing when we got the new vehicle.
Okay, good to know. All right.
Any other questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item G, County Counselor, number 1, consider approval of request to issue a request for proposal for services related to a county code update, and also request to authorize the encumbrance of $20,000 in unused budgeted 2021 funds from the Counselor's Office to project a fund to fund the services related to the upgrade date of the county code.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell, Shawnee County Counselor. As Cindy indicated, this is a two-part request. For anyone who has accessed our code, attempted to search for something on the code, it's long overdue that we do a project where we update the code and then we bring it up to date in terms of functionality. And this project, as proposed, would issue an RFP so that we could, the counselor's office would work with a vendor to update the current code, to create an online searchable code product that could be linked to the Shawnee County website. Our costs that we've estimated are about 18 months old, so I'm asking to encumber $20,000 from my existing 2021 budget to create a project fund to make sure that we can get this project completed. And if you have any additional questions, I'll try to answer.
Questions? I'll move for approval of the two-part request.
All right,
Thank you.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that the two-part request has been approved. Our next item.
Item G2, consider approval to authorize a payment of $12,120 as a sole source item to Bettis Asphalt for the repairs to the Stormontville Event Center parking lot to be paid from the project contingency balance, and request authorization to place the remaining contingency funds for the renovation project into a project fund for the future upkeep of the SVEC parking lot.
For the record again, Jim Crowell, Shawnee County Counselor. Today is the day of two-part requests. This is my second two-part request related to some work that needs to be done at the parking lot of the Stormontville Event Center facility. The question immediately will come to mind, well, we just renovated this, why are we doing repairs? And so let me explain what you're seeing. What you're seeing is an overview of the parking lot with a guide to the repairs that were done during the renovations. Now, in order to save money and get the overall project within the budget, one of the things that was recommended by our construction manager was, instead of doing full depth replacement on the parking lot throughout, to actually have our geotech firm work with the contractor to identify areas that needed actually full depth replacement, and then identify other areas where it would be sufficient to just do a mill and overlay. So that's what we did, and we saved several $100,000 on the project by using this approach. So We also reinforced certain areas with concrete after our contractor had been at the site for a while, watched how we used the facility, and saw how truck traffic used our driving lane. So there were a couple of areas, I'll walk over here, I don't have a fancy pointer, but for example, this area was reinforced with concrete because it would probably fail if we just used asphalt due to the truck traffic. This entire area here was full depth replacement, and the other areas in red were full depth replacement under the original project. The areas that we're seeking to repair now are the areas in yellow. And those are areas upon inspection since the project where we're seeing some cracks, where we're seeing some places that might need full depth replacement. The process worked very good. But it wasn't perfect, and so some of these areas in the yellow may need to go ahead and have full depth replacement. They may be areas where there were full depth replacement and it failed, and so we would get some warranty credits back on that. So my two-part request, number one, is to authorize the work to go ahead and do this maintenance for $12,120. The second piece of that is to take the remaining contingency balance on the project, which I think before this cost, according to Betty's office, is about $217,000, and put it in a project fund for future upkeep of the parking lot. One of the recommendations from the project manager was if we do this approach with the parking lot, you're going to want to stay on top of cracks and other maintenance issues as they appear, to keep the parking lot up to date and extend its usable life. Due to our good fortune in getting the Shuttered Venues grant, we were able to cover a lot of the other needs. So my recommendation would be to take the remaining project funds from the project and put them in a fund for future upkeep, maintenance, repairs on the parking lot. And I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Jim regarding the parking lot, the process, the funds, or the project fund? Commissioner Rippon.
Jim, how much we have left in the funds from contingency?
About $217,000.
Okay, I think you said that earlier. All right. That's it.
And Commissioner Mays?
Jim, I can't read what's written up there from here, but there's a long skinny strip of yellow there right by the island at the front. Is that due to the trees that are there, or?
Oh, that's just some cracking in that section of the parking lot, and it's not being pulled out and replaced. They are simply recommending that we seal those cracks in that area.
Okay.
And that is exactly what the contractor said at the beginning. You know, as you develop cracks, you'll want to get on top of those immediately and seal those.
Yeah.
I do have a question, just to, Betty, if you could.
Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services.
By taking the contingency funds that we have left over, the $217,000, identifying it as a project fund for the Stormont Vale Event Center parking lot, it will be earmarked then just for this part of the parking lot that we are looking at.
As we will designate exactly as it is approved by you. Let me step back just a minute and say these are contingency funds just from this renovation project. These are not county contingency funds that we budget each year. These are contingency funds for this, the Stormont Vale renovation project. But yes, we will set up a project fund, and the way it is worded right now is for upkeep of the Stormont Vale Event Center parking lots.
But Stormont Vale Event Center parking lots, is that going to include the fire station? Is that going to include Agricultural Hall? Is that going to include Heritage Hall, Maynard Conference Center, the K-State Extension Office, Domer? Is it the entire complex, or is it just, and I just want to make sure it's clear now, because I know that there will be questions in the future.
Okay. My preference would be, since this was money for this project, that it only be used for those parking lots that were part of this renovation project.
Okay.
Now, that is for you as a commission, to decide. You can override any suggestion, but that would be my suggestion, because these funds were for this renovation project.
And so if we approve it as requested, it's just going to be for the parking lots that we're looking at right now that are to the south of the Stormont Vale Event Center
I'll let Jim
and
answer
east
what
of
his
the
request
Stormont
is
Vale
for.
Event. And again, I just want to make sure that it's clear, because there may be a request to address parking lots for Agricultural Hall, Heritage Hall, Maynard Conference Center, K-State Extension, Domer, and if we've poured these into a bucket, I just want to make sure that it's for this purpose, because I know there's going to be parking lot repairs in the future, and that would be a good fund then to draw from.
Well, that's for you to determine. I mean, there's no restriction currently on how you label this. But if you want to restrict it to the work that was, only repairing the work that was done during the renovations, you can certainly do that.
Well, I'm sure that there will be work that will be needed on the entire complex, but this would set aside funds just for that part of the parking lot that is at the Stormont Vale Event Center.
These are the main parking lots and drives that are used during events.
Questions about that, commissioners?
When they were looking at all the paving, did that include the paving that goes in front of the Stormont Vale Event Center, right?
Correct. The drives were all given full depth replacement.
Okay.
Now, I was going to say that, but as part of this, the drives were given full depth replacement because of the anticipated higher use. The only areas that were not, that were just simply mill and overlaid, were those areas that you see are shaded, that it was also determined by our geotech firm and the contractor that the subsurface was in good shape.
Other questions? All right. Commissioner Mays? All right. Then I'm going to move to approve the request 1 and request 2, noting that this is a project fund specifically for the parking lots at Stormont Vale Event Center, which would be those parking lots to the east and south of the Stormont Vale Event Center. Is there a second?
Why would we not do the Manor as well? Or, I mean, I guess
That's the question. I mean,
Can we
that-
amend it to, I would make an amendment that we also include the Manor parking lot as well.
Okay. If we amend it, I just want to make sure that we understand that money will be gone in a heartbeat, because we're talking about a lot more parking lots now, as opposed to having designated funds for the Stormont Vale Event Center.
However, we would still need to approve the allocation of those funds. So I just think this allows us the flexibility so that we're not going to have to come back and change this later on when the time comes that we need to do some patching up there as well. So I would make the amendment.
All right, then I will accept your amendment to include the entire complex from 17th to 21st, from Topeka Boulevard to Western, as being included.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right. I just want to make sure that it's clear as to what these funds are for. So, all right. Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item H, Commission number 1, Neighborhood Revitalization Plan Interlocal Agreement Presentation.
Bill, you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here, as always. Bill Fiander, City of Topeka, Planning and Development. I am here representing the city, seeking your approval on an interlocal agreement for the Neighborhood Revitalization Plan. As you probably know, I do this every 3 years or so. So this is my triannual visit. We have a few changes that have come forth this year, but the base of the program still remains. It is a rebate for property owners in the about 21% of the city boundaries that improve their property. They get a rebate for 10 years. There are some variations on that. There's extra, if you will, incentive for housing, any development in our intensive care neighborhoods, and any renovation of historic property. So the one change, a couple changes this time around that were adopted by the city would be addition of the Menninger Tower to the area for eligibility. That is allowed under the state law, that you can go outside of the boundary if you have a dilapidated property worthy of preservation. So that certainly fit the bill, and we do believe that is going to lead to some action on that property very soon. And then the other one, we did extend the number of years within the downtown TIF district to 20 years for extraordinary, significant development that involves housing. So anything over $10 million investment to help match the term of the TIF. It seems in talking to developers that is some flexibility they would seek to do some bigger projects downtown. So we added that. Other than that, I'm just here to seek your approval and answer then any questions that you may have as a result.
Madam Clerk, this is a program that's administered by your office and overseen by your office and working with the treasurer. And I know that last year there were over $100,000 of rebates administered through your office. I know that in September you had some questions or concerns regarding the language that was within the interlocal agreement. Have you had a chance to review it?
I did, and yeah, and with the 100,000 is just the rebates for Shawnee County, that's not all the other entities involved. But yes, I did go over it, and I corresponded with Mary Feeney, the deputy city attorney, and there was she had there was one correction I had her make, and I made one other couple other comments, and she said the other ones were not really to be, they weren't really going to affect the plan itself. So I was satisfied with what she had done.
So the interlocal agreement as it is on the agenda has met with your approval.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commissioner Mays?
Bill, I know that the statute allows you to designate certain buildings. I don't recall a time when we've done that before. Is this the first time that we've designated a specific building as part of the neighborhood revitalization?
That is correct, Commissioner. We have not done that. It's always been in our back pocket to do, but we've never done that.
Are there any other buildings in Shawnee County that you guys have, or I guess in the city of Topeka, that you've identified as possible candidates? I mean, I hate to say this, the camel's nose under the tent, but I mean, it could be.
We have not.
Okay.
This was, quite honestly, we've kicked this around the last couple of times. There just hadn't been any development worthy, but now with Federal Home Loan Bank and Sunflower, and if we can get utilities extended up to the tower site, that will open up that area even more. So I think the timing is right, but it's always been kind of on our radar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rippon?
No comment.
All right. With the blessing of Ms. Beck and the approval, I'll move for approval of the neighborhood revitalization plan.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you.
Sir.
Our next item.
Item I, audit finance, number 1, update on revenues and expenses as of November 30, 2021.
Good morning, Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. I'm here this morning with our financial overview as of November 30th, 2021. We will start with year-to-date revenues. Through November, we had revenues of $107,934,335. That is $854,000 over budget, and which amounts to about 0.67%. So that is under 1%. So I would consider that right on budget. You can see it is right in line with what we had received the prior year. It's 309,000 over what we had received the prior year, but just right in line with that. I will look at each category separately. Our first category, property tax revenue, we received $83,454,099. That is $125,000 over budget, and again, just right on budget on that. Other tax revenue, we received $15,407,281. That is $488,000 over budget, and most of that was in the area of motor vehicle. Next, charges for services, received $5,437,437. That is $116,000 under budget, and most of that was in Department of Corrections, care of prisoners from other jurisdictions. Last is other revenue, received $3,635,518. That is $354,000 over budget, and most of that was in penalties and interest from property taxes. Here is our pie chart that shows 77% of our revenue was from property taxes. Other taxes are 14%, charges for services 5%, and other revenue 4%. Okay, now we will go to the expenditure side. Our year-to-date expenditures, which have either been spent or encumbered through the end of November, are $101,141,048. That is $2,771,000 under budget, which is a positive variance. And I will go through each category individually. That is 2.42%. But I will say, with one more month left of expenditures, I do not expect the variance to remain at 2.7 million. That will decrease before the end of the year. The first category, law enforcement, we have spent $49,595,367. That is $2,164,000 under budget. That is primarily in DOC and the Sheriff's Office. And the primary reason for that variance is because of staff vacancies. And we will see this throughout the county and throughout the categories. But this is the area that it's the most dramatic in. That is not something that only the county is suffering from. That is a statewide problem. It's a national problem. There is just a shortage of employees to hire. I will mention that even though we are under budget, we have spent $2,598,000 more than we spent last year in law enforcement. Next category is recreation. We spent $14,941,765. That is $174,000 over budget, but as I mentioned last month, that is just a timing difference, and they will not be over budget at the end of the year. I would also mention that this is just general fund expenditures, so this does not include those expenditures for the revolving fund, their building maintenance fund, that type of thing. So these are just the general fund expenditures. And that one also, even though that one, we have spent $1,104,000 more than we had spent through November of last year. Next is Public Works. We've spent $8,606,043. That is right on budget. And also on the Public Works, that's also just the portion from the general fund. Next is Public Health. we spent $8,063,766. That is right on budget, but we have spent $290,000 more than the prior year. Next category is administrative services. We spent $11,731,745. That is $663,000 under budget. And it's also $566,000 under what we had spent last year. That is primarily due to IT is under budget $160,000. We talked about that last month with some timing issues on their purchases. That will those purchases will happen in December, so that will not be the case at the end of the year. But as I mentioned, this is pretty much across the board in all of those departments, and a lot of that is just from staff shortages. Then our last category is debt service. We spent $8,202,363. That is right on budget, and it is $1,148,000 less than the prior year. This chart just shows the different categories and how they stack up together next to each other. And this is our pie chart that shows 49% of all of our expenditures is in the category of law enforcement. Recreation is 15, Public Works 8, Public Health 8, Administrative Services 12, and Debt Service is 8. I will be happy to answer any questions you have.
So Betty, if we are on track with where we're at right now, without any major disruptions, or it looks like we should end the year on budget,
Yes.
possibly with a little bit that we're going to be contributing back to our reserves.
A little bit, yes.
Okay. I know that we've been really looking at wages, implementation of the wage study, looking at all of the areas that we have a lot of vacancies. Department of Corrections comes to mind. The law enforcement 911 dispatch comes to mind. Public Works comes to mind. Would it be possible or feasible for us to maybe think about taking some of that excess funds and instead of having that go back into our reserves, setting that aside as an additional money to draw from for wages?
Yes, and in fact, we've talked about that, and that would certainly be my recommendation to the commission, looking at these wage issues that we have across the departments, especially some of these are crisis situations. And what we can do is when we get a final number, we can look at restricting or assigning reserves for a certain purpose. So therefore, they're no longer in our unassigned reserves that can just be used for anything. They are assigned for a certain purpose, and we will look at the possibility of assigning that for wage increases.
I know that we only have a few meetings left before the end of the year. Is that something that you want as a formal agenda item?
I'll have to look into that and see if it's something that needs to be done throughout before the end of the year, or if it's something we can wait and see where our numbers actually land, and that would not be till 2022. But I believe that it would be something we could wait until the beginning part of 2022 to where we really have some more concrete numbers.
And this would be to supplement the $2.5 million that we had set aside for wages.
Correct.
Questions? I think it's something that we should probably look at trying to get done. There's some areas and some departments that really need to have that we're in crisis. Mr. Mays?
I do have one question unrelated to the wages, but you had mentioned IT was $150,000 or something like that under budget.
Yeah.
We just approved $185,000 today for them. Is that included in that, or is that going to get them right
No,
on?
that would be a December expenditure, but $150,000 of that was from capital outlay.
Yeah.
So only the 30-some thousand will hit their actual budget. There was some tech refresh that they're in the process of purchasing that had not been encumbered yet. That will happen. And there was one other purchase. I don't know if Mark is still here. Yes, the two-factor authentication. They'll also be encumbering that before the end of the year.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Betty. Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Monhall, and Public Information Officer. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone of our ribbon cutting today at 2:30, and we will be out at the northwest corner of East 45th Street and Southeast East Edge Road. Did I say that right, Kurt? Okay. So we have some really amazing, beautiful updates out there, and I encourage everyone to come out if they can and enjoy the new improvements. So, thank you.
Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Rippon.
Well, not terribly exciting from this aspect here. It seems like we spent most of our day talking about control joints or expansion joints in concrete, but I have nothing else to add. So. What more can be said?
Washburn women's volleyball is in the Elite Eight. They have a game at 11, which will be televised on the big screen at Evergy Plaza today, if anybody wants to stop by and check that out. I think the weather's pretty decent, so might be good over the lunch break to cheer them on, so hopefully they get to the Final Four.
Might also note that this Saturday is the Red Stocking Breakfast. It benefits Family Service and Guidance Center. It's first year at the Pennant, and so I hope to see everyone out. And Family Service and Guidance is a great cause. It helps a lot of children in our community, and this is a major fundraiser for that center. And so, again, it's Saturday morning, and hope to see everybody out for that.
Do you want to mention JADO?
JADO was last night. We had 3 incentive programs that we signed, adding more businesses and people, the employees in Shawnee County, and it's a good time to be growing your business in Shawnee County. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, Executive Session.
There is a need for an executive session today. It would be for consultation with the attorney for the body or agency, which will be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and this is regarding pending litigation. I'll say for an hour, and starting at 10:05. No action is anticipated. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. We are in executive session.
I hope not.
Well, I just
that's cool or not, but hold on.
We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
That's the case, I don't know that I want to.
Have a good day.
You too, Chris.